Greetings, Padawans, and welcome to the Archives. Here to unlock this holocron, here's the man of the hour, Jedi Master Sotiko.
The intro, buddy. If you need to pull up the script, it's in the Discord. It's the same document as always, but nice and easy.
Okay, film. This or that, welcome listeners to the Archives. Researchers, the brilliance of Star Wars, that's the topic?
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much.
The brilliance of Star Wars. Okay. I am ready. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Archives podcast. Today, we're basically talking about the brilliance of Star Wars. We're going over the greats, the worst. We're basically just talking on Star Wars, having fun. Your boy Sotiko, Van Seal. I know I've been around a while. It's your boy Fred. He's back at it again. I've been sick for a little bit, so I've been kind of off here and there, but we are back, How are you doing, guys?
I'm doing as well as one of those wells that they dig up in those fake, like, jungle videos, where they be digging out entire houses and swimming pools and stuff. Those fake videos, man. That's how well I'm doing.
Okay, cool.
That's how well I'm doing.
How you doing, Van Seal? Everything good?
I'm doing great. Just going to give you a simple answer and say great. No crazy, weird analogy about fake wells in Africa or videos, or I don't know what that was, but I'm just doing great.
That's good to hear, I'm glad you're doing great.
So, today like Fred said, today we're going to be talking about some of the more brilliant things in Star Wars. But before we do that, we're going to kick things off with a segment that you guys loved from last week's podcast. We're going to do some more this or that. Essentially, it's just would you rather. You pick two things from within the universe of Star Wars and you pit them against each other. For example, last week we had, would you rather have Natalie Portman or Keira Knightley play Padme Amidala? And a lot of people were leaning Keira Knightley, but obviously we got to give our credit to the GOAT. Got to give our credits to the GOAT, Padme Amidala, being played by Natalie Portman. Fred, since you're new to the this or that, did you want to kick things off?
Okay, we can do the first one. Which trilogy has the best effects? For special effects specifically. What are you thinking? Let's do the Luke trilogy or the Rey trilogy? What do we think?
You want to still do the this or that first, or are we skipping to special effects?
That's his this or that.
Oh,
okay. I didn't realize. I thought we were doing for the special effects. So what we're doing
that
is
works.
like a this or that.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, sure.
Because they were groundbreaking and innovative, I would easily pick the original trilogy, because everything effect-wise that they were doing, they were literally coming up with on the fly as they were doing it.
Yeah.
And between camera shots, between practical effects, special effects, they were creating the equipment that they needed to actually do those effects. So in terms of just better, I think you have to take that value into account, because they were creating things that didn't exist before to make these effects, whereas the effects used in the sequels have probably been around for decades now, and they're starting to use them. Yeah.
So rather than
it's interesting to say that, because now I think about it, it's like the sequel trilogy that's the one thing that the sequel trilogy never did, was it never added any, they never brought any new element of special effects to cinema, because the original trilogy obviously did a ton. Even the prequel trilogy, I would say, was I remember in some of my cinema textbooks, Attack of the Clones was just a milestone, because it was one of the first high budget films where the entire thing is filmed using just everything's green screen.
Yep.
Obviously, you know, that's kind of frowned upon these days because now there's better ways to do it. But it's like it started the whole like we can put the actors in the actual location, and obviously it's better now with the way they filmed Mandalorian. And I just thought it was interesting. You know, the sequel trilogy didn't really bring any new innovative way to, you know, for storytelling.
Yeah, I will say it's not part of the sequels, but Rogue One was the first usage of deep faking with Tarkin.
Yeah, Peter Cushing's Tarkin. Yeah, and I thought that looked great. I mean, I was in the theaters. I was blown away. I didn't think it looked too good on Leia. Probably just because we all know when, you know, we have her face burned in our memories.
I'm not mad about
Tarkin,
it. It was.
I wasn't either, but I think Tarkin looked much better.
Tarkin looked sick.
It felt like Leia was added in last minute.
Yeah,
because Tarkin had multiple roles. I mean, they had close-up shots of him, extreme close-up shots. But Tarkin, I mean, looked fantastic, and you can tell. Obviously, you can tell it's not real, but it was like it looked damn good. It looked pretty good. And I remember when that came out, there was a lot of question about ethics on whether or not, you know, is that okay to do? You know, can we just start bringing back dead actors to, you know, put them in movies? You know, is that something that, you know, should be discussed? So it started an interesting conversation around it. I mean, I think it depends on the use. I'm not going to say it is or isn't ethical. I think it depends on the case by case, because it is such an extreme example. You can't really just make a law about it over one or two times it's been used. Because I mean, they did that back in the 80s with the Crow.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when what was it, Bruce? Not Bruce Lee. What was his son? Not Jet.
Jet Li.
Jet Li, yeah.
Oh, Jet Li.
Mm-hmm.
The one that so he died, and like they had to film the rest of the movie. I mean, granted, he was wearing face paint the whole time, so I think it was a little bit easier, but they still had to do that.
Yeah. But when they did the deep faking for Leia in episode 9, couldn't tell it wasn't her. And then when they did young Leia and young Luke, again,
it was Brandon. Sorry, I didn't want to control. It's Brandon Lee, not Jet Li.
Yeah.
Brandon Lee, yeah. Jet Li's still alive. It was Brandon. I just want to make sure, yeah.
But they looked terrific in episode 9. And then, for whatever reason, just didn't look good in Mandalorian. But deep faking, like, do you think it's going to continue to evolve? Or do you think it's kind of like peaking where it's at?
I don't think it's peaking where it's at. I think it can be better. The problem with deep faking is, like, so when you see something that's, like, unless you just live under a rock, if you see something that's being deep faked, there is a reason it's being deep faked. Mm-hmm. Whether that actor is too old for the role, whether the actor's passed away, there's a reason. They don't just do it just to do it. So, like, you know, pivoting over to like Marvel, for example, the Spider-Man movie that came out like a year ago or 2 years ago, Thomas Hayden Church is the actor that played the Sandman in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3. They had to reuse the same scenes from that movie and change him just a little bit, because if you look at the actor these days, he's aged. He's way too old to play the same role he did, like, you know, 15 plus. So they had to reuse the same footage from that movie. So that was when it kind of deep faking. But the point I'm trying to get is, if there's a character that they're trying to reuse and they're deep faking it, I feel like my brain immediately goes to, okay, well, there's a reason they did that. Mm-hmm. I'd much rather see a newer character. Good example would be young Han Solo. I thought he did fantastic. I want to see more of young Han Solo because it's a different take on the character. It's a different way that character's performed.
But it still feels like the character too, because he's doing such a good job.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to feel exactly like it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't be like copy Harrison Ford. Like, that's already huge. You know what I mean? Like, that's one of the greatest actors of all time. Mm-hmm. And like, how do you do that? But he did it in a way where it's like he did it and he had his own spin on it. So I mean, I don't think deep faking has peaked. I think it definitely can get better. I just think that, like I said earlier, I don't think you can say when or when not to use it. I just think that you have to look at You have to look at all outcomes of using it, because I definitely don't think it's the right answer most of the time. I would much rather see Han, Luke, and Leia get recasted instead of them just being deepfaked. Obviously, they've improved, right? Like in the Mandalorian season 1, season 2, that looks way better in season 2. Oh, no, I'm sorry, season 2
Book
Book
of
of
Boba
Boba Fett.
Fett.
Sorry, Book of Boba. Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, season 2 to Book of Boba Fett. Yeah, it looks way better.
Fake fan.
It's just like, yeah, well, you know, I'll wear the fake fan shirt proudly. It's I just want to see him recast at this point. You know what I mean? Like we already know who the character is. Like we all know it, deep down in our hearts and our minds, when we think of Luke, we think of Mark Hamill, we think of Return of the Jedi Episode 3 to New Hope.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's not going away.
That's the discussion point. Because Han's a supporting character, Leia's a supporting character. It's the main character. Can they recast a main character? That's the
I believe they can.
one.
I believe they totally can. How many? Okay, quick question. I mean, again, not trying to pivot away from Star Wars, but it feels like every time I go to the movies to watch a Batman movie, it's a different guy playing Batman.
Yeah, but I would also say it's a different universe. It's a different,
right? Correct.
Even
There's a
within
different universe,
even
there's
within
different
Batman.
timelines.
Yeah,
they have multiple Batmans. I get that, but when I go to the movie theater to watch a Batman movie, I know what Batman looks like. I know what Batman's supposed to be like. The idea, the character, the personification of Batman. Like, everybody understands that. And I feel like with some of these main characters like Luke, like, we know how Luke is supposed to act, and we especially know how he's not supposed to act thanks to The Last Jedi. So, like, I feel like we have this image and this idea of what and who Luke Skywalker is. Mm-hmm. If you just put a different person in the suit and in the boots, they just have to act and, you know, do as best they can. It's like, okay, yeah, he played Luke. He filled the role. I mean, this is an actor filling a role. So, you know, that's the funny thing. It's like, in Book of Boba, Luke sounded great. Okay? His movements were great. His acting was great.
Yeah.
The only thing that we didn't get to see was the person's actual face. And I'm like, dude, like, I get it. It looks like Luke. But that guy could also look like Luke.
The guy did look like Luke, too.
Exactly. So
yeah.
At the end of the day, it's like, you know, does that ruin your experience? The fact that it's not the guy, because we already know it's not. Like, that's the interesting thing that I can't wrap my head around. We all know it's not Mark Hamill, right? We all know it's not him. We're literally lying to ourselves.
I know. It's kind of like drinking a Pepsi that's in a Pepsi bottle, Coca-Cola glass. Yeah. I don't give a damn. It's tough. That's what I'm saying. That's where it gets tough.
And we all know it's not Mark Hamill.
Just like we all know that it's not.
It looks like Mark Hamill,
and
it's not Mark Hamill. But the second they get rid of the deepfake, and we can see the thing we already know, that's when people get upset. I'm like,
wait. That's when that shit happens. Because with Mando, we know it's not Pedro under the mask, but it is his voice.
Yeah. So I'm like, that's why I don't understand, like, why people have such an issue with deepfakes. If they want to use it, great. I don't think it's the right answer all the time, but like I said, I'd rather see someone just get recasted at that point, because if we already know it's not them, it sounds like them, he moves like them, but the second you take the fake mask off that we all know is fake, that's everyone has problems. So, like, that makes literally no sense. Like, we're just lying to ourselves as we're watching this, which is kind of interesting.
I think you just have to, at this rate, they're not going to recast Luke because they've done the deep fakes.
You never know.
That's what, no, only with Luke. They could drop a Luke, Leia, Han movie. It'll be Alden Ehrenreich. It'll be whoever they get to play Carrie Fisher.
Fisher's daughter.
I don't think she looks like her. That's just me, though.
She can. I think she could.
And she already played a character.
So?
On screen, kind of semi not that important, but also she's always on the screen in the sequels, like more than she should be. And then for Luke, they've deep faked him already, so that's going to be the expectation moving forward.
I mean, they can change it. Honestly, they can change it. I think they can recast Luke. I definitely think they could. And I think there's so much opportunity for a recast, because if you're so fixated on a deepfake, you're immediately putting yourself in a box. Because while deepfakes do, like for example, Tarkin's role, I think, is a perfect example of what a deepfake should and could be. It's for a role where it doesn't involve any action. This is a guy, he's talking, you got medium shots, close-up shots, extreme close-up shots. Like, he's just talking, he's just there to exist, and the presence of his character is real.
Mm-hmm.
For someone like Luke, that means no combat, no crazy movements, like, because it's gonna be harder on the editing team. So you're already putting yourself in a box by deepfaking, and it's like, well, there's just a lot of things that are going to be much harder to do. And here's the thing: if you do end up pulling them off, they're not going to look very good.
No,
it's not going to be natural. So recast, you can do whatever you want with the character now.
I know we've talked about it, but like, that's the dude. I know we've talked about it. It's in Discord.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, he looks so much like Mark Hamill.
I
like,
know.
What did the deepfake even do?
I think.
What did he even add to that? Let him play it.
You recast, you use that guy, and you use AI to just alter the voice. Because that's easy. Yeah. That's exactly what they did anyways.
They did that with Maul.
Yeah.
Because Ray Park is a very squeaky voice. So, I mean, like, they had Sam Witwer do the Maul voice in Solo. But they had Ray Park do the body.
Next, this or that, man. Starkiller, canon, or leave him in Legends.
Canon, easy. Next question.
Canon, but watered down.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, they drop a canon version of Starkiller, or you leave it how he is as in the video game.
I'm gonna be honest, bro. Like, even if they made him super overpowered in like canon, I wouldn't care, because like we should be done with that like stuff already. Like once that Starkiller comes into that like era of Star Wars. Like, we should not be asking any more questions about, like, what happens in that era of Star Wars, bro, because, like, we're done with that. Move on to the next series, you know? That's how I feel about it, personally.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the problems that Disney has is they feel, and this is probably like a Marvel syndrome that they have going on, but, like, I feel like they have the need to make everything connected.
Yeah.
Which I don't think it needs to be. If they want to make a Starkiller show, like I said, he has to be watered down. But the only reason I'm saying he's watered down is because everything they're doing has to be connected for some reason. I don't agree with that. They can make a Star Wars show. It exists. Sure, it exists in their Disney timeline. Okay. But guess what? It doesn't have to have a direct impact on anything else that they do.
It doesn't have to, no. And they could just say, hey, Legend show. Have a good time. Enjoy it.
It doesn't have to be a Legend show. It's just so easy. It's literally just don't connect the dots. Like, I feel like when they're writing these scripts, they're like, okay, I gotta take this idea from Book of Boba and Mando and Episode 7, and we're gonna cross-reference and meet here at the crossroads. And I'm just like, just write a story and just say, oh, it happens between Episode 5 and 6. That way we have background context of what the galaxy's going through right now. And then just don't introduce characters that can connect your story. Just, heaven forbid you make original characters here. I mean, like, my God.
The issue with that, though, the issue with that original characters thing, is there's so many characters that people love that they'd love to get some sort of service, like a Kyle Katarn, a Dash Rendar. Those two in and of itself, a Mara Jade, they could have, and I'm not just naming Guigo characters. It's because I'm playing Shadows of the Empire right now. I think those kind of characters have such a good story that could be enfolded into canon, but it doesn't need to connect to anything.
They don't. And that, again, I think that's just a byproduct of them doing Marvel, because, like, every time you watch a Marvel movie where it's like a solo, like it's like the Captain America 2 or Iron Man 3, like whenever the hero of the movie is in danger, you're like, where's the other Avengers at? What are they doing? It's like, and then they have to go and explain what they were doing on this very day, this very second. It's like, look, the galaxy's huge, okay? Not everything has to revolve around the Skywalker saga, believe it or not. People can go to the grocery store and not have to have their own spin-off show about it. It's like, people can go and do things. They have the freedom to do stuff. It doesn't have to be like everyone has to bump into each other. It's not like Dash Rendar is like, oh shit, I have to show up for Book of Boba episode 2 in 3 hours, and then I gotta hop over to Ahsoka's show for. It's like they don't have to do that. They have their own stuff they can do, and it doesn't have to be connected. But this need of everything being connected, I feel like it almost, one, it makes things seem super convenient, and two, it's just like, I don't know, it just feels weird. It's like now we're in 2 galaxies thanks to the Ahsoka show. We're in 2 galaxies, and yet people are still bumping into each other. Like, what is that?
Mm-hmm. And
So weird.
I get it from both perspectives. As a fan, I think it's nice having things in order, but as a production company, there's probably a lot of pressure that goes into that. Where
Yeah, obviously. Like, the higher-ups are just saying make everything connected, so it feels like you're invested in this grand scheme of a story, and it's like...
yeah, and we've had particular episodes of, like, Clone Wars, where they made an episode just to make something in, like, Empire Strikes Back make sense. Like, well, why is that there? Oh, this is why. And I get that. So it's probably pressure intensive as well, having to make sure everything is in canonical order. But luckily they have the right guys, you know, on top of that kind of stuff, because not a lot of things are getting retconned these days. Not a lot of things are getting overwritten, where
Like Kylo's scar.
man, that's Legends anyways. That's Legends anyways. But
Goes from here to here, and I'm like, okay.
cut himself shaving, bro. It's been a year. Come on.
No, it wasn't. It was 5 minutes.
Listen, those movies don't make sense.
They definitely
But
don't.
I'm with you guys. I think we could do a canon version of Starkiller, watered down, overpowered, whatever you want to do. And it does or it doesn't have to make sense. We've made cases for both in previous episodes. Like, if you want to make Starkiller the galactic powerful figure right here, right now, before the sequels take place, you can do it. If you want to make Starkiller die in an accident on Mortis before Empire Strikes Back happens, you can do it. Like, there's tons of things that you can do. But I do think not only the actor, but the fans deserve having one of their favorite characters in canon. But yeah, to your point, Van Steel, I get it. Everything doesn't need to be explained a certain type of way. Do you have a this or that for us, Van Steel?
Yeah, I do. Okay, so my this or that is, would you rather have a remaster, updated version, not a remake, remaster, of every Star Wars game before Disney purchased Star Wars?
Remaster. Okay.
Okay, like Rogue Squadron, Jedi Knight, Dark Forces, all that stuff. Have those remastered and never get another new Star Wars game ever again, or vice versa. Never get to play the old stuff, but we're gonna get new stuff coming forward.
Are we talking like the gameplay mechanics are even updated, or is it just visuals?
Visuals, like gameplay, all that. So basically, pre-Disney. So basically, do you want to keep the new Battlefront games and get rid of all the old stuff, and then hope we get new stuff in the future, or get rid of the 2 new Battlefront games, Jedi Survivor, Fallen Order, and keep all the old stuff remastered? Which would you rather have?
I'd take the old stuff back because they're just better stories.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fred?
New stuff, honestly. Like, I think they need to bring out some new games, man. Like, we need some new content. Like, Jedi Survivor is cool, but like that's just like one game, you know. Like, Star Wars is such a big franchise, and they're slacking on the gaming front.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would risk not being able to play the old stuff again if it meant that we got some new content and it was good content, you know.
Some of the old stuff we can't play right now. That's the interesting thing.
Yeah. Are we talking
Rogue
like
Rogue Squadron? We can't play those games right now because the development team Factor 5 Still has some of the rights, but they're like dissolved. So like the game's in a weird limbo state. I think you can play the Nintendo 64 Rogue Squadron, but the Rogue Squadron 2 and 3, you cannot play or buy online at the moment. They are like, there's a couple Star Wars games that are like that, where they're just like lost in the ether because of licensing purposes.
Are we talking like keep the new stuff, all the old stuff, Men in Black, boom, doesn't exist anymore?
Yeah. We got rid of it. It's like, it's gone. You can't play it ever again.
Okay.
Saying, would you rather play the old or the new? And the old stuff would obviously get remastered.
Cal Kestis doesn't mean that much to me.
And Cal Kestis is the modern Kyle Katarn, and he's not a very good Kyle Katarn, in my opinion. If you think about it.
No, 100%. I agree with you. Survivor, in my opinion, sucked. Survivor sucked.
I didn't buy it.
I think Fallen Order was sick. I think it was such a good game.
Yep.
Survivor sucked. I think this new Battlefront, I'll be honest, is better than the original.
Yep, but it wasn't like that at release, though. It was, for the first year, they spent rebuilding the game because of so much backlash they received. So
of course,
they had to basically build the game twice.
And I where it's at, I like it.
Yeah.
Even my girlfriend, not the biggest Star Wars fan, she enjoys it. Where the old one, it was nice, but nostalgically, it doesn't hold up that well. Gameplay is okay, but the story, it's just Revenge of the Sith.
That Revenge of the Sith game, though, was pretty fun.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, if I could keep these Battlefronts, get rid of Jedi Survivors, and have everything from 2017 backwards, I would. But it's tough for me to give up Battlefront because it's kind of like all we got right now. Whereas
that's why for me, I'm picking the old stuff because for that reason, it's like that's all we have. It's like,
yeah, and if we're getting remastered, all I want is a KOTOR with decent gameplay, because KOTOR's gameplay sucks, but the story is great.
I mean, I like that D&D style gameplay, but yeah, for those that don't like it, I can understand. Like it's not traditional. It's very I mean, they made it like it's D&D, so it's like I totally get that. But yeah, I feel like back then, man, like during the GameCube days, like the early to mid 2000s, dude, we were at prime Star Wars gaming. Like we had so many different types of games.
Even like Jedi Knight Academy trilogy, bro.
Dude, Academy is.
I begged my dad like every weekend to rent it from Hollywood Video, and at a certain point, he just bought it for me for the Nintendo 64.
It's like, I'm tired of driving down here. Just take it.
Yeah. I think it was Nintendo 64. It might have been Xbox, but...
It was Xbox for Academy, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Then it was for the original Xbox. And shout out to him, because that game was sick. Like, you got to customize your lightsaber in, like, 2002, dude. You can't even...
forms, different styles of fighting, too.
You couldn't even do that in Cal's... first game, Fallen Order.
I know, man. Is that crazy?
Different blade length, different types of blade.
Yep.
If you made your blade heavy, it would hit harder. If you made it light, it would hit softer, but you can move quicker.
And in another game,
Star Wars Bounty Hunter, bro.
Bounty Hunter. If you want some solo player content, and then for those that are RTS fans, because they don't even make a lot of RTS games anymore, we had Empire at War.
Yeah. Which is fun. It really is fun. It's like Halo Wars.
Yep. RTS styles.
Star Wars Pod Racer.
Pod Racer is a goat, man. The goat.
The Obi-Wan Kenobi game's not terrible, but Revenge of the Sith is sick.
Starfighter's pretty bad. Star Wars Starfighter's kind of bad, but still a Star Wars game at the end of the day, so you still play it.
A remastered Shadows of the Empire would be fire.
Oh boy, man. See, this is what I'm saying. Like, all of these games were just like... and you know, if you look back on those games, the level design is basic as hell. Like, some of the levels are literally like, go around this corner, go around that corner, go around this corner. That's it. But those games worked. Mm-hmm. Those games really, really worked. And Like, you know, and they all led from one thing to another. So like Shadows of the Empire, like that little Hoth section in the beginning of the game, that's actually what caused us to have Rogue Squadron.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, dude, this Hoth thing with the Snowspeeder and the Walkers, we need to make a game that's just this. And then we get the Rogue Squadron trilogy. Obviously, the first 2 games are a little bit better than the third, but to today's standards, yeah, like the quality of Battlefront 2 today is really good, right? Like, don't get me wrong, I like it, but I'm just like, I will gladly give up Battlefront 2 to get all the old stuff back. Because the old stuff was just, like I said, peak prime Star Wars gaming.
Yeah, and if we're talking remasters, like, they're just going to make the old Battlefront 2 look like the current one anyways, so...
I just don't get why we don't have more now. Like, we have less now than we... And it's just crazy, and Star Wars is arguably much bigger now, because, you know, Disney bought the IP, and they're putting a ton of money into it, but it's just weird to me that we just don't have like those type of games. And it almost feels like every time we get excited that a new Star Wars game gets announced, like 2-3 years later, it's like, oh, it's canceled.
Big change.
It feels like that's been the trend. That's been the trend for the last 10 years.
Big spanner in the works for this one, though. If you pick the old games, Galaxy of Heroes is gone.
Oh, that means I'm gonna be a lot richer. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with this, getting rid of this game that's consuming my life for the last 8 years.
That's fine. And we'll transition now to talking about Galaxy of Heroes. This is the Squiggo sector. So yeah. Vancil and Fred, this is all you guys. I'll be here to answer any questions, add commentary, but this is you guys. So what's new in Galaxy of Heroes?
Well, we got the new raid. That's probably the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The
new light side bundle.
New light side bundle. Yeah, new way for players to get caught up for $20.
Which I'm 100% purchasing, by the way.
I mean, it's I'm not for spending on this game, but I mean, like, if you're gonna catch up, this is like your.
It's not even like, I don't even see it as catch up. I see it as time saving. Because for $20, I'm gonna save 6 months of my life from farming Cara fucking Dune, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I heard R9.
Yeah. I'm saving easy 6 to 9 months of my life for $20. Plus, you know, it's not even... I'm a content creator. I get paid for... I'm being paid right now by Amazon, by Google, just for being live. I like to put my earnings back into it, and this is me doing it. So
yeah, no, it totally makes sense. I mean, Lightspeed bundles are great. I think they're good for the game. They're healthy for the game.
Yeah.
The people that bitch about them, too bad. Kick rocks. Like, I don't know what
I just want to say this real quick about it. This is not like me going at them because I still think it's good. I just think it's funny that Beskar armor Mando costs $20 and Kylo, like Supreme Leader Kylo, costs 10. That's hilarious to me.
Yeah, well, we'll see if you're still laughing when you see what Bam's gear requirements are, because his gear requirements are...
I've done Bam, bro. I know you need the Kairos for him, but like, it's just funny to me that a whole GL is like, well, basically a whole GL is $10, and then Bam is 20. You know.
I'm totally okay with people getting whatever. I mean, you can sell for me, and maybe it's just my perspective as an endgame player. You can give every GL away for $10. I wouldn't bat an eyelash. I'd be fine.
600 Gyrothex for him.
That's crazy.
Yeah, dude. He's greedy. But you can give every GL away for $10, and I wouldn't care, because the thing is, I think the players that have logged hours with their Galactic Legends are still going to come out on top, because the thing is, I can give you the best brand new team in the world right now. You know, I can get you IG-12, Grogu, Paz Vizsla, and let's just say the new bow comes out. I can give you that whole team, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not gonna know what to do with it because it's brand new. But when a player gets a brand new team and they get that many, I'm like, dude, that's kind of intimidating. Like, I wouldn't know how to mod them. You know, then you got to do their Zetas, and then on top of that, you're gonna also have to have the skill factor. Now, obviously, there's a lot of RNG in this game involved, but there's also skill that goes involved with the decision making. So, like, a good example, I guess, would be like Sign of Django. I probably have more hours logged with Sign of Django versus Lord Vader than anybody in this game. Okay, I have somewhere in my PC, I probably have like 300 plus battles worth of footage. It's crazy. Obviously, you can give the same team to somebody else, the same mods, but you're probably going to get a different outcome because, like, I just have more experience, more time with that character. So that's why I'm like, I think it's fine. People that complain that they're giving stuff away for basically nothing, I'm like, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's good for the game. Like, just let people have fun. Let people do what they want to do. Like, you know, don't worry about it. But, you know, some people are still
I'm
complaining
sorry
about
it
that.
took you like 10 plus months to get your GL and then like get your mods and all that stuff, and it's gonna take me like a month, you know? Like, I'm sorry about that, but like
I wouldn't because the thing is you have to invest in the mods too. Like, you got to go through all that, but you're trying to do it in a shorter amount of time, and I'm like, that's intimidating to me. It's hard.
No, you're right.
Like, you know, nobody in this game has like an extra 10 character sets worth of mods just sitting around. It's like, no, you're going to be taking mods from your best characters. So
That's what I do enjoy, like the trickle down method where, say, you apply a offense health sets onto somebody, then you take from the next person down, then the next person down, then the next person down. Which, it's fine for what you got, but then that just means you got to keep working on your mods. You're never not working on them.
Yeah, and let's just say the next Datacron set involves the characters you just took mods off of. Now you're just like, well, damn. You know? So, but yeah, other than that, there's not a whole lot of news in the game. I mean, we still haven't gotten, what's his name? Jar Jar Binks Jedi?
No, not yet.
not yet.
Should be like next week.
Soon-ish, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I'm fine with them taking as long as they need, because that means Bo's not coming out right away. But I think the second they drop him, she's probably going to be the following week, knowing them.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of news, we'll transition into a little bit of Star Wars news that we have. The 2024 Disney Plus watch list came out, and there were 2 Star Wars additions to the 2024 list. There's some ones that didn't make it that we anticipated, and 2 that we didn't really know where they were going to go. So Disney confirmed that we're going to be getting Star Wars Skeleton Crew and Star Wars The Acolyte in 2024. Obviously, the omissions that we were expecting were the Bad Batch and Andor.
That's messed up because Bad Batch has been done.
Bad Batch has been done. Correct.
It's already done. They're just gonna wait to stagger it. So that's kind of messed up.
I
don't
think
like how they're doing that.
I think they're using it as like a fail safe, like a break the glass if we need it, kind of thing.
No, they're gonna do the same thing with Bad Batch season 2, because season 2 got delayed like almost 2 years or something like that, and it was done, but they released it in between shows. They're like, oh, we got nothing between this Marvel show and that Marvel show. Oh, we'll just throw Bad Batch in there, and like, you know, that'll keep people interested maybe until the next. Like that's literally their model with Disney Plus. Like Disney Plus has been such a failure that, like, one, they don't put out any like content I think that's even worth it. 2, they have to stagger their content because there's such a big lack of, which is just mind blowing to me. But I mean, that's what they did. Like what Loki season 2 started the week Ahsoka ended. And it's like, after Loki ended, I was like, I don't know what else is coming out. I mean, I don't think there's anything else that comes out. A lot of people have been unsubscribing lately, but yeah, Bad Batch season 3, that's a bummer, because that means we're gonna have to wait another year and a half probably for that. Which
yeah, where we're at right now, 2025.
That's so weird to me, because that just means the show's gonna be dead when it comes out. It's gonna receive low ratings. People are gonna say how horrible it is because no one's watching it. But it's not the show's fault.
No,
it's Disney's fault, because there was such a big gap between season 1 and season 2. Now there's going to be an even bigger gap from season 2 and season 3, and it's already a very niche show. It's not like a show you can just watch. It's like this is like your DLC for Clone Wars. It's like you have to enjoy Clone Wars, watch it all, then you can enjoy Bad Batch. It's like, it's such a niche audience that actually enjoys the show. So I think that's very unfair for Bad Batch personally, but
Because you have to be a Clone Wars fan, and then you have to like it enough to care about the Bad Batch to watch their show.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I mean, there's not a lot of Supra fans who are gonna watch everything just because it's Star Wars. I'm not even like that. I won't watch.
I'm not like that anymore either. You know?
But yeah, it's odd. Andor was pegged to come out in August, but obviously with the strikes, that kind of shut down filming for what, 5-6 months?
A little bit longer than that, but yeah.
So probably looking at, I'd probably say May 2025 for Andor. May the 4th.
2025 is gonna be such a weird year. It's gonna be wild because of the strike. Everybody's projects are being pushed to 2025. So 2025, like, I don't know. I mean, like, I'm just guessing right now. This isn't even Star Wars related. I'm just guessing that people are going to be writing articles that stuff is not going to be doing well because there's going to be like entertainment overload.
Yeah.
Like, there's just going to be everybody's got projects come out in 2025, and 2025 is just going to be like, there's just going to be too many things to consume.
That's what I'm worried about for Star Wars, because everything that we're kind of looking forward to.
I know. Everything, man. Everything's 2025.
Kenobi Season 2, Book of Boba Fett Season 2, Mando Season 4, Ahsoka Season 2, Rey movie.
The Rey movie. It's like...
That all can't come out in 1 year, so they're going to stagger
and
it.
normally that would get me very excited. Be like, oh my god, like, we're going to be eating good tonight, boys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like, here's the problem. There's going to be other families at this table, too. You got Marvel, you got DC. I mean, you got just about so many other things where their projects are being pushed to 2025. It's just like, I mean, GTA, for example. Like, you got GTA. I'm pretty sure Star Wars, what's it called? Outlaws. I'm guessing it's going to get pushed to 2025. Because right now they're already projecting it's coming out fall next year. So it already sounds like it's been moved or delayed. So I'm just like, 2025 sounds like it's going to be nuts. Which, you know what? Bring it on. But I mean, for me, trying to just think of, I want Star Wars to do well. This is going to be very difficult for Star Wars to do well when everyone else is competing at that level and producing that much content. So it's like, unless you really stand out, it's going to be really hard for them to stand out. I don't know. I just wish they released more next year. I really do.
I just don't think it's going to... I think that the strike really put everything into perspective with Star Wars content in and of itself, because there's so much being worked on right now. We didn't even mention the Lando show.
That's right.
Is getting rewritten.
I heard that was getting turned into a movie, but then they changed their mind, went back into a show.
Your word is probably closer to the truth than what I would know.
I remember reading something like that they might just turn it into a movie because, like, it was either there's too many projects or there's scheduling issues, and I'm like, I'm honestly okay with another.
Yeah, Skeleton Crew's coming out December 2024.
Yeah.
Per Bespin Bulletin, who.
Yeah, holiday 24, all the way at the end of the year. It's like, ooh. That's and the Acolyte, they didn't say when. I'm assuming sooner.
Acolyte is looking like June 24. Which I think it's 12 episodes. So that'd be like 10 weeks, considering they do 2 episode drops at the start, and then they might do a 2 episode drop for the finale, which I'm a fan of, but if not, that's 11 weeks, which would take us into August. I think they should probably put Bad Batch out in August if they were smart.
Bad Batch should have dropped in spring.
Bad Batch should be out right now.
It should be out right now, but like I said, they, for whatever reason, it feels like they really just don't give a shit about the Bad Batch. They're probably like, we're losing money on the show anyways. There's no point in releasing it. Like, let's just use it where we can bridge 2 shows together, which really sucks. Because, like I said, like that show, I think is really, really well done. I think the best episodes in Bad Batch season 1 and 2 are better than anything in Clone Wars, hands down. because the Bad Batch is really dark. I can talk on and on about how much Crosshair I think is one of the most interesting Star Wars characters they have created in the last decade.
Let's do
and
it.
I don't think they don't think they did it on purpose. I'm pretty sure it was on accident, and he just happened to develop into this incredible character.
Yeah, let's do it. This is our segment number 2, character spotlight, and today we're doing Crosshair. If you guys want to suggest anyone for next week, let us know in the comments. But right now, it's Crosshair time. Me and Van Seal love this character. I've loved him since Bad Batch because he was kind of the only one that stood out from the pack, and his energy and his vibe. But what do you love about him the most?
I love how real of a character he feels. Like, he is obviously he sides with the Empire, but I just think that, like, God, he's such a complex character. Like, he just has layers upon layers, and there's just I just love the dynamic of he still feels that he is part of his squad. He's still part of these, his brothers, his brethren that he grew up with, trained with, fought with. But because he has a different idea and he has a different perspective on, just politics and what he believes is right, he sides with the Empire, which is so ironic that Disney made a character like this, because Disney's like, it's either our way or the highway. But it's like, that's, I think, what makes Crosshair so interesting. It's just like he solely believes what he is doing is for the betterment of everybody, and that is his point of view. And the Bad Batch respect that of him. They're like, okay, like, he's still part of us. He just has a different, he just thinks differently. He just thinks, and they understand that because they are different. They're different from normal clones. But they do cross paths, and they do have turmoil and conflict. But at the end of the day, it's like they're not going to kill each other, but it's like they will get to that point without having to pull the trigger. But and the thing with Crosshair is he's so stubborn. I love his stubbornness because he still wants to fight and be part of the system that he thinks is working. Obviously it isn't, but it's like he is so rooted into thinking that this is right. He believes more about doing good instead of looking good. And I think that's like the thing that really shines the most with his characters. Like, he doesn't care how he's portrayed. If people call him evil because he's with the Empire, then that's fine. But he truly believes what he's doing is good. And we get to see a lot of episodes from his perspective, and a lot of it's really dark and really feels real, like in terms of like the situations he's put in. A lot of messed up situations.
Stuff. Very brooding.
Yeah, like really just like stuff that I feel like we haven't really seen a whole lot of in Star Wars. Not just in animation, but just in like live action. Like, we haven't seen a character kind of go through this. And it really is testing like where his loyalties lie. Yeah,
the scene that comes to mind with that is his first time leading a company, and he has to go and like slaughter Saw Gerrera's people. They're unarmed. They have nothing on them. Yeah. His own troopers are saying they don't have weapons. Like, why are we going to kill them? Kills his own troopers, kills all the people. Wild scene. And this isn't a kid's show, quote unquote, So I loved it. I loved it. And that's, like you said, the epitome of Crosshair is a good soldier follows orders. And we saw how emboldened and concrete that idea is in his mind. And his character arc is, well, he's not going to follow these same orders anymore because he realized that it's not right for people like him, which are clones. And he sees how the Empire's treating clones, and he's like, I'm standing up against this. And that Outpost episode where he's bringing back the clone that's literally dying,
that one, dude, like, that one got to me. That was like the music, everything. I was just like, dude, that episode, I was a little bit pissed when I watched that episode. I was like, dude, this is messed up what he's going through right now. Like, and to add to what you were saying about, the epitome of him realizing what he's doing was wrong, I love how long that it took.
Yeah.
Like, it felt so organic. Because we've seen that before in Star Wars, where, like, you know, people from the Empire defect. Like Finn, for example. Finn does it, like, overnight, you know what I mean? Iden Versio does it overnight. Like, we get all these strong characters that defect because they're like, okay, the Empire is bad. He doesn't do it overnight. I mean, he literally gives the Empire the benefit of the doubt every single time. He gives them chance after chance. He's always defending their actions, and he justifies them in a way where it's like, okay, like, I can see from his perspective why he thinks this way. So I like that it's just this slow burn of a process for him to finally realize, okay. And you know, I don't even think, because that's kind of where season 2 leaves off, but, like, I don't think it's the point of, like, hey, empires are treating clones poorly, because he's already seen that. He is a clone. He sees how his clones are treated. I think it's like, okay, that they're treating me like crap, but now they're going after my old crew. And I think that's where, like I said, like, it's all about where his true loyalties lie. And I think at the end of the day, if you had to choose between the Empire and his family that he grew up with, he's going to choose his family that he grew up with. But I don't think he realized that until, you know, all these horrible things just added up to him.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, that one episode of when they're in the snow, he brings the clone back that's dying, and the Imperial officer just says, like, let him die. Like, who cares? Like, clones are whatever. And, you know, Crosshair retaliates by shooting him in the chest. It's like, dude, that was such a great moment. I was like, thank God. Like, I would have done the same thing, man, because, I mean, they marched through the snow, like, for days or something like that, and they got yelled at because they were supposed to protect stormtrooper armor. It wasn't even armor for them. It was, like, stormtrooper armor that they could have used to survive, but they weren't allowed to even touch it. So it's just, like, it's such a great episode, man.
It was.
And, like I said, I think I mean, no disrespect to Dave Filoni or anybody, but, like, I think this was an accident, because Crosshair was not like this in Clone Wars. He was not. He was just the cool sharpshooter. Everyone was like, oh yeah, he's the cool sniper guy. I don't think they planned for him to be like this. And maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm overanalyzing it. That is a possibility. But just from my point of view, the most complex character we've had in the last decade of Star Wars. Easily.
Honestly, I agree with you. I feel like you're right. Crosshair wasn't really meant to be that kind of character, but a lot of people kind of saw themselves in Crosshair and was like, oh, this character actually is just like me. Like, what the hell? You know? So I agree with you there for sure. Like,
and it's oh, good. I was gonna say, I think it's also an interesting idea that we haven't seen in Star Wars, where he's not, and Crosshair isn't viewed as a hero or a villain. He's kind of more of he's almost closer to the anti-hero.
100%.
Yeah, closer to the anti-hero, but not quite to the point where it's like you can call him an anti-hero, but he's definitely closer towards that. But just having the struggle of having a different opinion, I think, is really interesting, because a lot of Star Wars is like, well, you're either for the Jedi or for the Sith, the Empire, the Republic. It's one or the other. It's very black and white, but this is a gray area of Star Wars that really, you know, questions a lot of code of ethics, I think, in terms of, like, the Star Wars universe and the world building. So it's like, it's just crazy. Like I said, like, such an accident, in my opinion, of a character, but my God, like, super complex. And I can't wait to see what happens in season 3, because, like, a lot of his character development, I feel like, happens throughout season 2, even though he's never in it. Like, that's the other part that's so weird about him. It's like he only shows up for like 4 episodes, like a handful of episodes, but every episode he's in, like, 10 out of 10 episode, man.
Yeah.
So good.
And I want to see how he's gonna react when he finds out Teak is gone. You know, his brother.
Yeah, yeah, that too.
Know.
Like, that's gonna be huge. Yeah, because he doesn't know that, and I mean, like, you know, they're also brothers at the end of the day, and it's like, and I love the conversation between him and Commander Cody.
Yeah, because he kind of feels like the oldest brother.
Crosshair?
He kind of feels like the older middle brother with Tech.
I agree.
And then Wrecker's their younger brother. Hunter's the eldest. So I just wonder how that's kind of going to go. Because is he going to be mad at his other compatriots for not protecting him? This, that, the other. But
Probably all of the above, man. All of the above. Like,
when I look at Bad Batch, I view Crosshair as the main character. I know it's all of them, but no one else in the show goes through more of an arc than he does, because he goes through becoming the empirical snipe shooter and then growing out of it in a completely different season. So you get 2 seasons of Crosshair with such a diverse and different arc than we've seen, because we've never seen someone join the Empire then grow out of it because of ways that he sees, you know, the Empire's changing, the Empire's treating his people differently. He's making him do stuff that he wouldn't want to do, and that he's not getting the support that he deserves where he's at. Like the whole season, he's kind of getting just kicked into the dirt and then spat on. Like he gets demoted, he gets his squad taken away from him, he gets subjugated to doing like the dirty work, and the whole time he's like
he out qualifies almost everything that he does.
Everything.
And it feels like every time they give him a new job, it's lower and lower and lower.
So it's I'm more hyped for Bad Batch season 3 than most things coming out. More hyped than Mando season 4. I'll say that much. And Mando season 4 we're not going to get until it looks like what?
25.
Yeah, it looks like
probably holiday 25, so 2 years from now.
And then Ahsoka we're not going to get until earliest December 2026. So
3 years, damn.
Yeah.
That strike really messed things up, man. But it just sucks. Going back to the Bad Batch, I think it just sucks how like I said, the show, you have to be a hardcore fan to get into the show. And so many people just review bombed it, and like I get it. It's like if you're not watching it as a diehard Clone Wars fan, then yeah, the show's not gonna matter so much to you. But I'm like, it's just like, and I'll be as unbiased as I can. I will say this: the Bad Batch season 1 and 2 have probably the worst filler episodes in anything Star Wars.
Like ones that you can outright skip.
Yes, you can absolutely skip some of the episodes, but it's like the show is so polarizing. It's like the bad shows are like real. I mean, the bad episodes are like really, really bad, but then the good episodes are like the best ever. There's like no like middle ground with the Bad Batch. It's so weird. It's either a good. It's either you watch this show or watch this episode, or you don't watch this episode. That's just how it is.
Yep. And we did a watch through, and we were sitting through some of the filler episodes, and we're like, this is kind of ass. Let's just skip it.
Yeah, man. Some of them are.
But I think as long as what I would do with the Bad Batch, especially because there's 16 episode seasons, I drop 3 episodes at a time, at least 2 episodes at a time.
Yeah, I would too.
Because they're only
27,
28 minutes tops.
They are, but like I said, I think Disney's using it as a bridge to fill in the time between this Marvel show and this Star Wars show. So it's like if the time is like, let's say 16 weeks, I'm like, okay, we're gonna need 16 episodes, and it's like, one a week, which is not fair for the Bad Batch show to be used like that. But
no, especially because it's one of the low budget shows. There's maybe 4 or 5 voice actors in the entire show.
It's all D. Bradley Baker, man, just talking to himself.
Yeah, the rest you're literally just paying animators, so.
And they probably lose money on the show. Like, I won't lie. Like, they probably lost a lot of money off season 2. They probably lost money on season 1. But, like, it's such a great show, man. It's such a hidden gem. And I'm just like, it just sucks to see that it's, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just I'm the off meta guy and I like to watch all the crappy shows. I don't know, but
I think it goes back to marketing for losing money though, because you're telling me that you can't sell Bad Batch action figures. You're telling me that
they can't sell Star Wars action figures, period. Not just Bad Batch. They just can't sell Star Wars, period, right now. So that's the main issue.
It's nuts to me. It is nuts to me. I'll never understand that because. Bro, if I was a kid growing up during the Bad Batch, are you freaking kidding me? I would be all over it.
Yeah.
I'd be all
Absolutely.
over it. Toys, I'd get a Nerf collab going. Get all the blasters. Get Crosshair sniper. That'd be so sick. You can get Omega's bow and arrow. It'd be
Get
tight.
Wrecker's teddy bear from my bed.
Yeah, and like even like costumes, armor, masks, all kind of stuff, because they're all different. And I think they even mixed up like the armor color. They're orange now. Next season they'll probably be green.
The season two outfits are amazing, absolutely amazing.
I'm just curious to know where they're gonna go with it, because they have to go somewhere optimal with it. And Bad Batch deserves it. It really deserves it.
And the thing with the Bad Batch too is it answers probably one of the biggest questions I had as a kid growing up is what happens to all the clones?
Yeah.
And, you know, back then where there's, they all become stormtroopers, and then once they get old enough, it's like, well, did they all just become stormtroopers? That's just such a like cop out of an answer. It's like that's not, you know, exactly how it happened. I mean, for the majority of them, they became stormtroopers, but like the clones were kind of treated like shit and discarded as like nothing. So some of the more, you know, boring for some people, boring episodes were just a bunch of politics, but it's really interesting to see like how the clones are fighting for like a retirement bill. They're trying to pass it on the Senate. You know, there's just all these like shady
cut down who know shit. Like that's awesome.
Yeah, like and some of the clones like what happened to Camino? You find out what happens to Camino in the show, and to me that was a really like hard to watch moment for me, because you know I grew up with the prequel trilogy, so Camino was just like engraved in my brain. Like I've been there in Battlefront, I've been there, you know, in the movies. Like I know Camino like the back of my hand, and then to see it empty, to see the mess hall, the cafeteria empty, the hallways empty, the hangars are empty, was like really eerie to me. I'm like, wow, man, like I've never seen this place has always been just populated with just clones and Kaminoans everywhere.
Yep.
And to see it empty and then to get destroyed by
felt
clones.
Weird. Yeah. And clones were the ones that did it.
It felt like the end of an era when I saw it get destroyed. And I was like, dude, that was like, for me, I don't know, that was a really, really hard to watch moment, because I was like, dang, it's like something I'd never thought I'd ever see, ever. Like, that's not something I'd ever imagined that would happen to Camino, but it just shows you what the Empire does.
And it adds context, you know? Like you said, you didn't know what happened. And when you learn what happened, like, you feel dirty. You feel dirty.
Yeah.
You feel bad, because we grew up watching Clone Wars and Attack of the Clones, and our Star Wars was clone-oriented. And you never got those answers until the Bad Batch, which it's a very important series. It really is. Yeah.
And you can tell it's really good writing, because it makes you realize how evil the Empire is. Obviously, they're clearly the bad guys in the story, right? But like, because it makes you like, man, like, damn, they're doing some shady stuff, or what they're doing is sick. I can't believe how can they treat people like that? You know, that just shows that it's good writing, because it's getting you to care. You know, kind of going back to the whole Skylar White scenario. It's like, if you hate her, that means she's doing a good job, and it's good writing.
Yep. Do you think there's do you think there's adamantly good guys in the Empire?
Yes. Absolutely. Look at Jack Black.
Nah, I think he's the biggest villain of them all.
Could you imagine him on a Star Destroyer bridge just dancing around singing?
He did try to kidnap a princess, dude, and make her marry him, so there's that.
Yeah, he did. He tried.
His Star Destroyer is in the shape of like Bowser's face.
Yeah. Well,
no, but seriously, I do think there are some good people in the Empire. Because in the Old Republic, you know, jumping time periods, you learn that there's a lot of Sith that actually have pretty good conscience. A lot of things that they say make sense, and you would agree with them. They have a pretty level head. And then you'll realize there are some Jedi that are just corrupt and messed up, and you know. So I don't think that's for everybody, but I definitely think there are some people in the Empire that are decent people. A lot of people that, maybe not the Empire, because the Empire wasn't around very long, but like the Sith Empire, if you grew up on a certain planet raised by a certain family, it's like, well, you're going to believe and go work for, these people because that's where you grew up. I mean, it's just like, you're not going to know any other way of life.
Yes.
So I think some people that were born into the Empire, it's like, well, what other choice do they have? You know what I mean? It's like they may still be a good person at heart, but, they believe in the Empire because it's like their mom and dad worked for the Empire. The Empire paid their school tuition or whatever. It's like that's all they know.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Separatists. Like, if you're born on a Separatist planet, that's the kind of government that you know. And I was having this conversation with somebody, and I forgot how it came up, but it was like, someone asked, would you rather date a hot liberal or a mid Republican? And I was asked, I'll do you one better. Hot separatist or mid Galactic Republican? And he was like, hot separatist, because they're the good guys anyways. And that just got me thinking,
are they though? Are they?
Were the separatists the good guys? Who were the good guys of the Republic? Because I understand the philosophy that the separatists just want to be like their own governing
they want
bodies.
To be separated. Yeah, exactly.
But is that truly an evil thing? Obviously, the way they went about it, blockades, oppressing nations, not nations, but planets and stuff. Obviously, how they did it was evil, but is the ideology of being separate to be free, is that a evil thing at its core?
Yeah, that's a big question. I mean, it's tough because the more I watch Clone Wars, the more I watch Palpatine, the more I'm like, damn, the Separatists really just got screwed. They really did. Obviously, everything happened because of Palpatine. Obviously, he was behind everything. But I think if Palpatine wasn't in the picture, I don't think you would have had a Clone Wars. I think what would have ended up happening was you probably would have had some smaller conflicts. But I think, in the grand scheme of things, if you just let the Separatists be the Separatists and the Republic be the Republic, I think things would have been fine. But obviously, that's not what happened. So it's hard to say who was right and wrong because, like I said, there's a lot of good people that care about looking good, but then they end up doing evil.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that I think look evil because you don't agree with their point of view, but in reality, they are actually doing a lot of good. They just don't care that they look good. So
when you think about it, I feel like the Clone Wars kind of like the Civil War now.
Yeah.
If you really think about it, like the Separatists are the South in the situation because they lost, so they're deemed the bad guys. The Galactic Republic is the North because they won, so they're deemed the good guys. Also, they support democracy, so that's a big one. Obviously, the South wanted to be their own nation, and that's one of the reasons they tried to split off from the North. Tried to be their own kind of America, in a sense. Also, you have the clones who could, in this situation, be quote-unquote slaves,
Yeah.
So,
well, it's hard to. I understand where you're coming from that, but it's just in this like the one thing I think that had to happen was the near extinction of the Jedi, because the Jedi definitely lost their way. Like they all of a sudden, like, they were not peacekeepers. They were just basically super police. Like almost like the Avengers, how like the Avengers had like the Accords and all that stuff, or like, yeah, you guys just go save the day, but you don't care about the buildings you just dropped on like 12 people. I feel like that's the same thing with the Jedi. The Jedi were like, the Jedi viewed themselves, I feel like, as celebrities almost.
Certain ones did. I think there were certain ones that upheld, but that, like, everyone knows, if you're a fan of this podcast, I am not a fan of Galactic Republic Jedis.
No, they're so ignorant to what's actually going on, and they're totally like blind to actually being, what I think a Jedi should be.
Yes.
And I think the only person that we see that ends up doing that in the Clone Wars is Ahsoka towards the end of the show. Towards the end of the whole Clone Wars, is you get to see her actually, go out of her way, be selfless, and go do that. But like, Mace Windu is all about following orders and all that, and Yoda makes a bunch of bad calls, but I guess he tries to make the best of it. But
Yoda got beat. Simply as that, he got beat. He had a 28. He had a 28-3 halftime lead in the Super Bowl, and he let the Empire rise from the ashes.
But you know what? It's so interesting that there's a lot of people that say that Yoda knew the Jedi were going to be extinct. Yoda knew something bad was happening. He just didn't know the details. He just didn't know when, where, and who. Mm-hmm. But he knew it had to happen. He knew that it was part of the Force. It's something that's going to happen. It's got to happen. I just don't think he wanted to accept why. It's just because, dude, the Jedi are so far gone. Yeah. Like they've lost their way. Like, you can't, this is not something where we can just send out, an at everybody and say, hey, tomorrow morning when you come to the temple, here are our new policies and terms of service. It's not like you could just do that. It was like, no, you've been teaching kids for decades the wrong way, and now you guys are in a war as peacekeepers. It's like, you guys are, like, totally off the mark. So, yeah, wiping the slate clean, killing all the Jedi, I think was the only way that the idea of a Jedi can actually survive.
That's why I think post-Purge Jedi are the closest thing to what a Jedi looks like, what a Jedi should be.
Yep.
And it makes, like we discussed last week, two of my top 3 favorite Jedi, just in terms of what it means to be a Jedi, are post-Purge Jedi. Obi-Wan and Kanan. Like, they're everything that a Jedi should be. But the Galactic Republic ones, man, I think the power got to them. And I think they were hungry for that power. And they didn't want to seize it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Mace Windu is a prime example. Like, Mace Windu, I knew deep down, Mace knew that he had peaked. Yoda wasn't going to die anytime soon. Yoda was not going anywhere. Yoda was the only guy above him. I think Mace was struggling with that, because in any other lifetime, Mace is the Grand Master Jedi, not the Vice Grand Master. And I think that started to eat at him, started to erode at him, and he did start getting some really bad calls being made. I
really like Old Republic Jedi too. There's a lot, like, some of my top Jedi are probably Old Republic, but again, like, it's just the Galactic Republic Jedi, man, they're just
I think it peaked with Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon was like the last
the last OG.
Yeah. The last outlaw.
Think about when he was killing Palpatine, bro. Like, Anakin is right. He's like, yo, we need to take him into the council and have them, like, deliver a sentence. And he's like, no, we should kill him now. The reason he wants to do that is not because he, like, believes that Palpatine needs to die right away. He wants to be the war hero that killed Palpatine and stopped the Sith,
I never even looked at it like that. He wanted to be the guy that ended the Sith.
I'll never understand that move, man. At Mace, it's like, if you wanted to kill a man, you just need to, like, extend your forearm forward by about 6 inches. You don't need to, like, do this whole swing.
Oh, he was going for the beheading. He was going for the beheading.
I was like, dude, you have your saber at his throat. You just need to move it forward, and you're good. I mean, but instead, you're doing a flashy swing. Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm like, what is he gonna do? Block it with his hands? I mean, he could, but
no. But that's a really, like, that's a sick take, Fred. That he wanted to be. I never even thought about it like that. That he wanted to be the guy that ended the Sith.
He's like, no, this is my only way to get promoted past Yoda.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much.
So this will look great on my resume.
And I think he wanted that. I think he really wanted that.
Sith Master taking over the Galactic Republic for however many years under Yoda's watch. Like, Yoda was done for, man. He was jumping that Grand Master ship.
Probably also want to do it because if he did get promoted past Yoda, he could fire Anakin.
Yeah, true.
Like, Anakin, we're making you a Padawan again.
Yeah.
Here's your braid.
I never understood why Mace didn't trust him. Because they make Mace out to be this like all-seeing seer. No pun intended, but
Big eyes.
it never he never did anything to break his trust. In any book that I've read, in any Clone Wars episode, he never did anything apart.
I think a lot of it was just Mace knew that Anakin had the potential to surpass him at a very young age. And Mace was probably
That's
like,
what it was.
I can't help this kid because it's going to end up hurting me in the long run.
Yeah, and there's...
Which it did.
Let me go grab it real quick. Y'all can keep talking.
It's kind of like, like in Cinderella when the evil stepmother like treats like Cinderella poorly, but treats like her kids like really well.
Yeah.
It's like that, like Mace has no connection to Anakin, and he knows that like if he gave Anakin like any kind of affection whatsoever, like it would only help him. In the long run. He's not trying to help someone that's like gonna surpass him one day, He wants to stay that top dog. So.
Yep. Anakin in glass slippers. I could see it now.
You're going to the mall in a pumpkin.
His Jedi Starfighter pumpkin.
Jedi Starfighter pumpkin. Nice.
Yeah, so in the Jedi Path, which is like the journal handed down from master to apprentice, from Yoda all the way down to Luke, there's a section about the prophecy of the Chosen One, and it's defaced. Everything's crossed out. And
is it crossed out purple marker?
No, it's black marker, but someone obviously did their magic and lifted the defacings to see what was written. And one of the passages was the Chosen One would have a higher authority than the Grand Master Jedi.
Well, yeah. I mean,
and I got to thinking, like, somebody between Luke and like Qui-Gon had to have defaced that section. It wasn't Qui-Gon because he read it. He knew it word for word, verbatim. So either Obi-Wan, Anakin, Ahsoka.
Mace.
I think Mace Windu somehow got his hands on it and defaced it. Because if Anakin read that, he'd be like, oh shit, this is me. So I don't think it was Anakin. I don't think it was Obi-Wan either, but it could have been. But Obi-Wan was all about protecting Anakin.
Yeah.
So I don't think he would have done that. But I think Mace Windu did it because he, like Fred said, he wanted to be him, but he wasn't. You know, Mace had to go behind Dooku's back to get the Jedi Council spot.
Yeah.
So we know off rip, he's not the most, what's the word, honorable guy. We see shit that he does in the Clone Wars.
He's not a team player.
No, and if he was, he would have killed Dooku instead of, holding out a saber at his throat. He would have just cut his head off if he was a team player. But
bro, he was about to kill Boba's dad right in front of him. That's not very Jedi-like.
No.
That's crazy. He's about to kill some boy's father in front of him.
Yeah.
We could talk about
and then he taunts Boba in the Clone Wars when Boba's trying to kill him. I'm like, dude, you're not even saying you're sorry.
No.
Like, what a dick. Instead, I'm gonna throw this kid in prison, teach him a lesson, and he should come out a Boy Scout after being in the Slammer for about 2 years. No, he gets worse.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that coming.
Who would have thought? Hanging out with Bosk, Cad Bane, the galaxy's finest.
As like a 13-year-old, it's a great place to put a kid, man.
Unreal.
Stupid Mace.
Transitioning to our last segment, because I know we want to keep it concise today. Is there anything that we want to add to our canon right here, right now? We didn't talk about a lot of video games or comics or anything.
Yes, I want to add because I think you had me thinking earlier in the beginning of the segment. I think we can add Jedi Knight and Jedi Academy, the Kyle Katarn stuff. I think we can add that. I don't think it changes anything to Force Awakens.
I don't think so.
Because Luke does lose a temple of students, but that wasn't the temple on Yavin that they had.
No.
So it could be two separate temples. And I'm trying to think of anything else, but I'm like, I don't think it changes much.
Okay, and it's 12 years after the Battle of Yavin, and then Academy is 14. So
yeah, and that's all post Mando stuff too. So that just slots right in.
Yeah, that's post Ahsoka. Some Jedi, and that could explain where Luke's at during Ahsoka. Because I think it's roughly around the same.
About.
And since we're on the topic of video games, I would like to add Shadows of the Empire.
Oh, hell yeah, man. Get that in there. That game's way too good.
And that's
way too good.
Right at Empire Strikes Back.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like conjoined with it, so I'm gonna put a slash because it really is.
Yeah, it's kind of like the end of Clone Wars in Episode 3. It's like they're happening at the same time, just in different parts of the galaxy. But yeah. Trying to think what
Vader
else.
comics. How do we feel about the Vader comics? I love them.
I haven't read them all, but the ones I've read, yeah, I don't think I have a problem with putting them in.
Vader comics, Dr. Aphra.
War of the Bounty Hunters, hell yeah, man.
Mm-hmm. And then Old Republic stuff, like
put it all in.
All of it.
All of it, because it has no effect on anything.
No, it doesn't.
It's such a long time ago. Put it all in.
KOTOR, KOTOR 2, SWTOR, the Bane trilogy.
I'm not crazy about the High Republic, though. I don't know if you want to put that or not.
I want to add Plagueis.
And I'm okay with having gaps, too, because we
have tons of gaps, yeah.
There's plenty of gaps. They don't need to be filled in.
There's a 1,000-year gap between the Old Republic and the Bane trilogy. There's a 1,000-year gap.
The end of the Old Republic.
Yeah.
Because the Old Republic itself, I believe, is, I forget if it's 3 or 5,000.
Like the game, The Old Republic.
Because that's
Revan,
the MMO, right?
Yeah, Revan died 1,003 years before the first Bane novel.
Yeah, and Revan lived to be like 500-600 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Which is nuts, because people probably listen and are like, wait, do you say that right? 5-6? It's like, yeah. In the Old Republic, things were crazy. Things were super, super crazy. Again, if Star Wars is as bad as we think it's going to be in the next year, I might go back to the Old Republic again, because that's actually what got me into it. Is when we had a big lull period of Star Wars, I was like, well, this still exists, and this doesn't really get touched by anything Disney does, so it's kind of like a safe space for Star Wars.
I'm gonna add that dog shit book, Battle Scars, because it's terrible. The Cal Kestis book, because they had alien stormtroopers. It was a very bad book. So we have Obi-Wan Kenobi as Legends, Book of Boba Fett as Legends, Mando Season 3 as Legends. Did we want to add any other? I think we did everything, TV show and all that.
I'm trying to think.
Any other video games, any comics?
I think there's a couple things we're missing, but a lot of it just kind of gets overridden. Like, there's a lot of older Clone Wars comics, but the Clone Wars we have now kind of overwrites all of those, so I'm not going to include those. That's just not really a point. I'm trying to think. I feel like we have like 90 to like 95% of the stuff I want in there. If there's anything like I can't think of, I just can't think
what
of it.
about
I'm missing
the Star Killer games?
I don't know. So it's like so here's my opinion on Star Killer. I want him in, I just think that they have to change his role and his story just a little bit. I think they just have to tweak it around because I think with the way things are set up, I feel like his story doesn't make sense as much. Like, definitely get rid of the second game. I think the second game is atrocious. Like,
I think they should go in Legends, but they need to make a canon variant of him.
See, but so the canon variant of him is I want him, and not because of the Ahsoka show, and whatever Malik or Merrick, whatever that guy's name was, Marok, that was his name. I want Starkiller to be an Inquisitor because that's what he was in the Force Unleashed one.
Let him be the
OG Inquisitor,
the first brother.
Well, not even the first. That'd be a cool name, right? Because we don't have that. Yeah, be the first brother.
The
brother.
Very first, the very first Inquisitor. Yeah, the first brother.
First bro.
My number one bro.
Come here, my bro. Give me some. Dab me up, bro.
What are his games even called? I can't think of it right now.
The Force Unleashed?
The Force Unleashed.
TFU. Just this is TFU for sure. I would like the first game to be somehow made canon because it does handle Shakti's one of her 6 deaths.
Yeah.
Not sure which one's real.
The canon one is the deleted scene where Anakin kills her.
I thought Grievous kills her.
In
episode 3?
Animated variation. Oh, he does. There's another deleted scene where he kills her.
Man, they just don't know how Shakti dies.
But there's a deleted scene that is the canon one where she's meditating in the temple and Anakin comes in and kills her.
He just pulls out a Glock and shoots her. Yeah, I like that one better.
And she's like, Skywalker, you seem troubled. And then just dead.
Yep.
I think we need like all of her deaths to be canon, so she dies like 7 times like a cat.
Yeah.
Or 9.
There you go.
Like a cat.
There you go.
Yeah, dies 9 times like a cat, dude.
So
I
don't know. I would like parts of the Force Unleashed 1 to be canon because there are some parts that I think are pretty important. I just don't think the second game cuts it for me. I really wasn't a fan of the second game, but the first
Very
one,
quick.
if we can alter it, I would like it.
Mm-hmm. It's very quick.
Yeah, it's very short. It feels like it was rushed in development. Like it felt very rushed. Like I remember one entire mission. It's like you have to talk to Yoda, and it's like you're on Dagobah. It's like, oh, cool, it's gonna be sick. And like Yoda's like literally like 10 feet in front of you, and it's like, oh, you completed the mission. I'm like, what?
I'm gonna say Dooku Jedi Lost. Great book. Really good book.
Okay.
It's a kind of a story.
Another book series. Oh man, I never finished it though. I've read like the first 3. The Boba Fett series. Dude, such a cool series to have.
Which
I don't
one
know if
was
any of
it?
you guys read it. I don't think they're canon. Let me see if I can Google it real quick. That'll give the right name. I want to say it's called Boba Fett. Let me see. Hold on. It came out like right after Attack of the Clones.
Is it
what was it
Fight to
called?
Survive?
That's one of them. Yeah. So there's 6 books. Yeah. Boba Fett. So it is basically told from the point of view of Boba from like Attack of the Clones before and after Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
And kind of like what happens, like what he has to go through, and just that's a really cool series because nothing crazy happens in it, but it's just cool to see like because we don't really see what happens to Boba like after Jango just dies and what happens and like after he gets left on Geonosis, like what happens to Boba, who's taking care of him, who's his guardian. You get to see a little bit of that in Clone Wars, but that kind of skips ahead a little bit. So it's really cool to see like a pre-teen to a teenage version of Boba Fett and kind of what he has to go through.
Have you looked at the Bounty Hunter Code?
I know which one. Yeah, I know what that is. I haven't read it, but yeah.
I'm gonna look and see if it's on Amazon because it looks sick. It's kind of like this Jedi book that I have.
Yeah, but it's the Bounty Hunter variant. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they came out around the same time. I remember.
Oh, yeah, it's only $12. Come on now. Done.
I will trade you 12 pieces of paper for your one big piece of paper.
Isn't that funny? How the economy works? But
yeah, I try not to think about it too much.
I think that's a good place to leave it for now. If we think of anything, we can talk about it in future episodes. But we have tons of stuff from... We're now KOTOR all the way to episode 7, The Force Awakens. Nothing after it quite yet, but we'll see what happens. Anything else that you guys want to talk about or add, or is that a good place to leave it for now?
I think it's a good place to leave it, and we'll slowly kind of like alter our canon as we come up with things or read more things.
Maybe the viewers can throw in like a couple things as well, you know? Just be like, yeah, you guys didn't talk about this, you know? Like, and then we can talk about that, you know?
Yeah, if we missed anything, guys, do let us know. But as for now, that's going to do it for episode 18 of the Archives podcast. Let us know what character you'd like in the spotlight next week. And if there's anything that we missed out, do let us know. We'll catch you next time. For Fred, Van Seal, and myself, have a good one. May the Force be with you. And deuces manuses.
Bye.